Hi, this is my review of the Forgotten Realms campaign setting box set. This box set allows you to play advanced Dungeons and Dragons in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. Well, let's talk about the quality of the box set. Everything comes packed in a gray box. It was actually famous for being referred to as the gray box. However, the box didn't stand well against the passage of time, so it pretty much disintegrated. So I don't have it anymore. But I do have the contents of the box. I'm going to show you the different components as I go along with the review. So I'm just going to give you a general outline of the quality. The quality is actually pretty good considering the amount of time I used the different books and maps. The quality is pretty good, everything's held out together pretty well. And the illustrations are somewhat of a mixed bag. In a sense, the illustrations give the campaign setting a very distinct flavor, but at the same time they look like a bit too wooden, like everything was made out of wood, and everything seems like it's always nighttime. At the same time, that gives a lot of mystery to the setting, but sometimes it's a bit annoying that everything looks just so really, I don't know, like it's nighttime all the time. Well, let's start with the maps. The maps are pretty nice and quite big. Let me show you the maps one by one. As you can see, they are fairly big. They cover almost the entirety of the campaign setting. I think it just misses a few unexplored lands to the east and west, I think. Really big maps. There are two more in that same style. And the maps come with 2 sheets of transparent grid, so you can measure the distances when the player characters are traveling. You also get a bunch of monsters to add to your bestiary. Because back then there wasn't really a bestiary, there were like folios or compendiums, and you bought these separate sheets, and you have your binder, so you could place all these new monsters. So you have classics like the Dracolich, the Giverling, and a bunch of other monsters specific to the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. The Avalin, the Vanguard, some of them are very specific to the setting, and some of them are somewhat generic. It's a good collection of monsters. Now let's talk about the books. First, you have the book, A Grand Tour of the Realms. You have a pretty nice illustration here. You can see Dritz and Wehivar, the Panther, and Elminster in the background. I don't know who that character is. I don't remember her. This book is basically like general information of the entire Forgotten Realms, of the entire setting. You have information about the planet, the continents, the races of the realms, all the dwarves and elves and humans, and how they are that they have different characteristics to this particular setting. And this is what I was telling you about, that everything seems a bit too dark and as if it were, I don't know, carved in wood. Just take a look at this illustration of dwarves. It seems really like it's nighttime. It seems like the technique was like they had a black background and they just started using different shades of gray and white. Here you have images of, for example, this halfling family, I think. They look either really cute or really nightmarish. And you have more information of how each class is represented in the Forgotten Realms, and more campaign-specific information. So, for example, we have the Paladin's virtues. The Paladin's virtues are: an organized approach brings the most good for all. Laws exist to bring prosperity to those under them, and many other virtues in the same line. And then you have information of all the regions in Faerun. As you know, Faerun is the world of the Forgotten Realms, and comparing it with the 3rd edition Forgotten Realms book, this book, in my opinion, has a lot more information, considering the size and how thin it is, and the maps are a bit more detailed. You have information about the calendar, the passing of time and the years, different languages of the realms, as you can see here. You also have the information about the currency, and you have a lot of detailed maps of the different lands and symbols of different places, kingdoms, cities, towns. Here are some of the symbols. Something that I really like about this book, and I think it was missing in the Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition of Forgotten Realms, is that this book has a lot of more city and town maps. The other book didn't have as much detail when it came to cities and towns. They presented some place, maybe they said something like, oh, here's Cormyr, but they didn't have too much detail when it came to the layout of Cormyr. You have some more information of different places in each region. Everything's all very well detailed, and there are a lot of adventure, more specifically campaign seeds. They also have a decent amount of information about Waterdeep, the City of Splendors, quite famous city. And you have a little map of the city, and this is much appreciated because in the 3rd edition book you did not have this map. So this book gives you a good overview of the Forgotten Realms and some information on unexplored lands to the east and west. Now the next book is Running the Realms, and this book just gives a lot of general advice on how to introduce your players to the Forgotten Realms, or of maybe moving characters from other campaign settings to this campaign setting, and information on how to use the map and with the transparent grid, so you can measure the distances. More specific information and seeds and legends concerning different organizations in the Forgotten Realms, many famous ones like the Cult of the Dragon, the Harpers, the Centarim, the Iron Throne, the Red Wizards of Thay, many famous ones. And then you have a list of important NPCs, and these illustrations, I don't really like them that much because you can't really tell. They are so small sometimes and so out of proportion. you can't really tell if a character, if an NPC is a human or a dwarf or a halfling. For example, you have Arthagus, and if or pronounced Arthagus, and if you don't know who Arthagus is, it's going to be pretty hard at first to tell if he's a dwarf or a human. And there are many more NPCs, and some, I don't know, don't seem as well portrayed. So for example, we have Dritz Dowerden, one of the most famous Forgotten Realms characters, and here, I don't know, he looks kind of like a drow jester, in my opinion. Like he's laughing like you know, but he's usually very moody and very grim. Not all the time, but I don't think this illustration expresses the character at its best. Or for example, you have some bad guys that should look really intimidating and mysterious. For example, Manshun. The illustrations of Manshun in the 3rd edition of Forgotten Realms, they look pretty awesome. He looks kind of like Darth Vader. He has this like mask or cowl, and that covers his face. But here Manshun looks like, I don't know, he looks like a kid with a staff. It's a bit ridiculous. That's the great Manjun, the powerful Manjun. It kind of look like a kid with a staff, or a kid that stole a magic wand or something. And a lot of these characters are they are almost I think there are some epic level characters here, and that could get a bit annoying for those players that don't like to play at epic levels. For example, Minster is level 29. You get a lot of NPCs, and you get information of the different gods. This is another section that I think is a bit better than the 3rd edition book, because here you have information of many lesser and race-specific powers. So for example, the Red Knight. The Red Knight is a power that doesn't appear. Here she is. It's a female deity. It's sorry about that. It's right here. You get almost no information about the Red Knight in the other book, but here you have something to get started. If one of your clerics want to channel the power of the Red Knight, here's the information for it. And you have beast cults, elemental cults, overpowers like Ao, and non-human powers, elven deities, even non-human deities of the aboleths, of the bugbears, of the dragons. The illustration here is pretty good. Even you get some alien pantheons. Very nice. Of course, and this book is really good. This is the Shadowdale book, and it has a lot of information on Shadowdale. It's pretty much detailing the entirety of Shadowdale, and in my opinion, a lot of modern RPGs used Shadowdale as a sort of like a blueprint to create a good starting town for a campaign. And you get all the legends and stories behind Shadowdale. They are quite interesting. Many heroic and nefarious deeds surrounding this place. And there are many powerful and famous characters living in Shadowdale, so that's pretty useful. They could act as patrons for the player characters, and there are just a lot, like 100 or a bit less adventure seats or potential adventure seats spread out through the entire Shadowdale. The village itself seems pretty humble, but it hides many secrets, and you get maps for the different places in that city. You have the map of Elminster's tower, if your player characters manage to get in the tower, which is actually quite difficult, and he doesn't accept visitors as often. The map of the Twisted Tower. Everything is very well detailed. It's a great starting town, and you have an adventure. However, in my opinion, this adventure is pretty hard. It's recommended for a party of 1st to 3rd level characters, but if you have 1st level characters, I recommend that you have at least 6 of them, because otherwise they're going to get killed. Especially there are some very dangerous rooms. For example, there's a fight with an aboleth, and the aboleth is going to decimate the entire party if they are not careful. This adventure works better for 3rd level characters, in my opinion. It presents a good variety of traps and enemies. It's mostly an underground exploration expedition. You get some illustrations of what you're going to find in that adventure. That was Aquagos. And the adventure is basically just trying to explore the underground passageways that go all across the Twisted Tower and connects to the Underdark in some sections. And at the end, the characters are going to save some dwarves. There is a traitor dwarf, however, that's going to trick the party, and he may actually end up killing the entire party if they are not careful. And at the end, you have a villain. There is a drow wizard. However, in my opinion, it's a bit cliched that the drow wizard escapes. I don't know how many times I've seen that being used in adventures. You have an evil wizard, and when the characters are about to, well, maybe not kill him, but they fight him for a couple of rounds, and he uses teleport or something, and he gets away. And that's a bit cliche. They have been using it too many times. Most recently, I think I saw it in the. I'm not entirely sure if it was there, but in the 13th Age Shadows of Idleland, I think it was called. It was used there, if my memory is not mistaken. So I think the escaping mage trick is a bit has been used too much. The box set also had a set of cards with different sigils and warnings, like danger, dragon ahead, or stuff like that, and some symbols of different deities. They were in full color, and it was simple cardboard. The cards actually held out pretty well, at least better than the box that disintegrated. And the symbols are pretty much just like the ones I showed you in the different books of the different deities and some other things. I would have shown you the cards, but I can't find them. Sometimes you just grab those things and just start using them with your games. I'm sure they are around there somewhere, maybe inside a game case or something. But as I was telling you, because I use them a lot, it's pretty hard to find them where they are. And let me tell you about what I think of the Forgotten Realms campaign setting box set. I think it's pretty good, but at the same time, I think it should have made a better effort at introducing the rookie AD&D player to the setting, because the starting adventure is lethal. It's just very dangerous. That aboleth part, the aboleth killed parties time and time again. Only a few of them survived that battle. So you have to understand that this is still a very old school setting, at least as it is presented here. Now the setting is great in the sense that I ran a lot of adventures in the Forgotten Realms, and I still felt like I didn't begin to scratch the surface. But at the same time, there are a lot of ridiculous things in the Forgotten Realms. There are a lot of I don't know, overpowered characters that feel just ridiculous. Just the amount of monsters and overpowered characters that exist in the Forgotten Realms, it feels kind of ridiculous that they actually managed to coexist without destroying the planet or killing each other. And sometimes the Forgotten Realms, well, it feels like I don't know, like they try too hard of including all sorts of fantasy archetypes, and sometimes it has that like funny or ridiculous feel to it. However, if you manage to overcome this with some serious gameplay and most importantly role playing, you will get a world that has a lot of room for adventures, both below in the Underdark and maybe even above in different planes of existence. It's a pretty cool game world. However, I think this version of it hits a sweet spot, because the third edition Forgotten Realms, they had all these incredible places to explore. For example, Mythrunner, and here in this version of the game, Mythrunner feels quite fresh. You just hear legends of the Knights of Mythrunner, and you're like, oh, maybe they left some treasure behind, or maybe there are still mysteries in Mythrunner that we need to unravel. But in the third edition of the book, all the mysterious ruins and adventure sites were like, oh, hundreds of adventurers have already explored the site, but you're welcome to try and see if you find something new, and that felt a bit disappointing. And I also think that they were planning a bit more on the development of the game world, not too much based on sales or business plans. Because, for example, after the third edition, and this is in my opinion, the fourth edition of Forgotten Realms felt like everything was really forced, and they had to kill off several famous or staple characters just so they could move Dungeons and Dragons to the fourth edition of the game. I didn't really like how I think, for example, Dritz Do'Urden lost some of its appeal, of its personality. I didn't like the way, and spoilers, I know how they killed off Halaster. Like, oh yeah, he died in the Undermountain, probably an earthquake, and there was a bit more to it, but it felt really ridiculous. And the way they used Manjun, like, I don't know, like a Dragon Ball Z character that kept, oh yeah, no, you didn't kill him, he was one of his clones. And I don't know, it felt, I don't know, I really can't express as I was disappointed by several of the ways they handled elements. Elminster sometimes really felt more near the beginning of 4th edition too godlike, and at the same time it was ridiculous. He didn't solve things with all that power. There are several things that could get in the way of your enjoyment of the Forgotten Realms, but if you find a way to overcome them. For example, when I played the Forgotten Realms, I eliminated most of the overpowered characters. They were just around their level 20 to 25 at max. So you just have to be really careful on how you handle these game elements. So well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.